Thank you so much for returning to us right here on 3FM Sunrise, on 3FM 92.7. We're starting our discussion of the medical supply stack at the ports. The Global Fund has been reacting, or has reacted to this, as well as you, our listeners and Ghanaians at large. We're expanding on the conversation. Very shortly we'll be speaking with Ernest Amoabing Otson, lead convener and president of the Ghana HIV and AIDS Network. But before we connect with him on the phone line, let's take a quick listen to a presser, and you'll be hearing the voice of LCI, president of the Network of Persons Living with HIV, reacting to the news or reacting to the pharmaceutical products that are still locked up at the ports. Take a listen.
Like anybody else, but it is not happening. We are losing so many children. We are losing so many young people. It is unacceptable. So we want you, please, you've been supporting us. Please push this thing forward. Let's, as the chair has already said, of the ED of Gannett, it takes so long for the medications to get to the facilities. So when we are told they've been cleared, it doesn't say anything. If our people can't go to the facilities and get their medication, they are not available. And we want that to happen. Last year, we were told, oh, the truck has moved, and it will take 6 weeks for it to end the routes it has gone on, and then come and pick some more and go along another route, another 6 months. Where will it get to all the remaining Ghanaians who need this medication? We offered to help as CSOs. We said we are across the country, so we could offer our vehicles. We were told, no, we can't do something that cannot be sustained. This is an emergency. We're not saying that we want CSOs to continue supply or transporting commodities. We're saying in an emergency, we should all come on board. That was also rejected. So for me, I don't understand. Well, we've been told something will happen. I'm very skeptical, because I've heard this over and over and over and we are talking.
A case of broken promises, and you were just listening to LCI, president of the Network of Persons Living with HIV. She says some of these promises have been made over and over again. Let's connect with Ernest Amoabing Otson. He's the lead convener and president of Ghana HIV and AIDS Network. Ernest, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on this morning's program.
Yeah, hello. Very good morning to you as well.
We're just listening to LC speak there quite passionately about these products that have been locked up at the ports. These are essential medications that Ghanaians need for the sake of their health. But can you provide us with an overview of the current situation regarding these products that were donated by the Global Fund currently stuck at the ports?
Okay, thank you very much. And I think it's quite significant that you started with an interview with Madam Elsie. Madam Elsie has been living with HIV for the past 20 years. And she has been on antiretroviral medication from that time till now. Now, what that tells us is that once you are diagnosed as positive, if you are ready to stay on medication, you will be able to live your life and do your things the way you really want to do. If you check her record, she has a high pedigree of working with very, very reputable organizations before becoming the president of the network. She has been able to achieve all her dreams. She's, 70 years, and now, and when even look at her, if you see her, you don't even believe that she's that, old. So it tells you the essence of what these drugs mean for persons living with HIV.
That's right.
We have a situation where the Global Fund last year, starting from May, started some shipments. These commodities include HIV, antiretrovirals, medications for the treatment of tuberculosis, and then also ACTs for treatment of malaria, as well as nets, that's a treated bed nets,
Right.
and then cartridges and all of that.
Okay. And then a quick one, though. How often does the Global Fund donate these pharmaceutical products to Ghana? Is this something that is the norm? Is this the first time we're entering this arrangement? Is this a usual thing?
Well, the interesting thing about the Global Fund is that its founding was actually inspired by the late Kofi Annan when he was UN Secretary General. So symbolically, Ghana was the very first country to sign a Global Fund grant in the year 2002.
I see.
And since 2002, we have been receiving these products from them every year. Since 2002, we have been receiving this kind of support. In total, the amount of money that we have invested in the 3 diseases is around $1.2 billion.
Right.
This is how much they've given us in cycles of 3 years from 2002 to date.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that context. So, yes, you were saying that these now were donated by the Global Fund. They reached our ports. And what happened?
So, normally, when the Global Fund is bringing such commodities, they include a certain percentage of the cost, which is usually 1%. So, when they sent us the commodities worth $40 million, they made available PSM cost of $400,000. So that's procurement, supply, and management cost.
Okay.
So this money was supposed to be used to pay for all the charges at the ports and so on and so forth, the clearance and everything.
So, Ernest, to put this into context, not only does the Global Fund provide us with these pharmaceutical products, the treated nets, the HIV medication, they also give 1% of that amount for, you say, any procurement issues and clearing at the port. So they make provision for that.
They actually make provision for that.
Okay, sure.
So it so happened that last year, when the commodities started coming in, government indicated that we have revised our port charges. So the rates have gone up. So instead of the $400,000 that the Global Fund made available, what will be required will be $3.6 billion to be able to clear the goods. Then the Global Fund indicated that as per their framework agreement with the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Finance, they're not supposed to pay taxes and levies and so on and so forth. So they are not going to pay any extra money beyond what they have provided, because that's what they do across the group with all the countries where they give support.
Right.
Then government also said that, well, ECOWAS levy, AU levy, and COVID-19 levy, these levies have not been waived by Parliament. So it means Global Fund must pay for them.
Okay. So, Ernest, bear with me. ECOWAS levy,
African Union levy,
and then COVID levy.
Recovery levy.
Okay.
So these 3 levies were part of the amount that the Global Fund needed to pay, and they insisted that no, they don't have such expenses in any other country, so they're not going to pay for those costs.
And this is why we find ourselves at this impasse. But when we listened to Elsie, whose clip we played before we started our conversation, she said that some interventions or some seeming interventions had been made, some promises made on the part of government that these pharmaceutical products would be released. Are you privy to some of the promises that were made last year and this year, which still have not been fulfilled?
Exactly so. The issue is that, the Global Fund does not open offices in all the countries they operate in.
All right.
What they do is that they have what they call the country coordinating mechanism, which is a committee of some sort. In Ghana, our CCM is a 25-member CCM, and each member has an alternate. So it is made up of 3 sectors. We have government sector, we have the CSO sector, and then we also have the development partners, their sector as well. The government sector currently includes Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Gender. All these are part of the government sector. Then we have the development partners that includes WHO, UNAIDS, and the others.
Right.
Now, the civil society organizations that organize the press conference are part of that, of the civil society sector. And this sector also includes academia as well, the private sector. So it's a broad committee. And we relate with the Global Fund on daily basis.
Okay.
So they share information with us. And that's how come we are privy to all of these issues.
Okay, now, what has the impact been on the lives of persons living with HIV as far as this delay is concerned? Can you share any stories or examples to illustrate the real-world consequences of this situation?
Okay, so I would like to rather start with malaria.
Okay, sure.
So, you know, we are about to enter the rainy season.
That's right.
And normally during the rainy season, issues of malaria go up because of stagnant waters, mosquitoes breeding, and all of these things. So what normally happens is that around this time, we distribute bed nets, treated bed nets, to pregnant women and children under 5. So there are interventions where these nets are distributed in schools and then also at health facilities for pregnant women. As we speak, these bed nets are stuck at the ports.
Okay.
So it means that this year we'll not be able to do those interventions if the containers continue to remain at the port. If we look at TB, what is significant about TB is that government of Ghana is unable to buy TB medications. And that's a conversation for another day.
Okay.
So it's only the Global Fund that gives us the TB medications. As we speak, there's a shortage of this. And you know how, dangerous TB is. The moment you contract the disease and you are put on treatment, if you stop, you are just going to lose your life.
My goodness.
With HIV, as Madam Elsie has been explaining, when you are stable on treatment, you are given 6 months supply or 3 months supply so that you don't go to the hospital frequently. So if you are doing very well, you are staying on course at least twice every year, you can go for a refill of your medication.
Right.
Presently, what is happening is that because of the shortage, they are now giving them only 1 month supply.
So some sort of rationing has to happen to ensure that everybody can get some of the medication.
Yes. And then, the psychological trauma, people who are on medication are just wondering what is going to happen if at any point in time we should there should be total stock out. It means they're going to lose their lives. Because when you go on treatment and you stop, the moment, let's say stop for some months and you go back again, that same medication that you were taking before, you will develop a resistance against it. The virus will develop a resistance against that medication. So it will no longer work on you. So you have to change that medication for you. And these medications are very expensive. And we as a country, we are unable to provide them. It's a global fund that buys them for us. So this is causing a lot of anxiety among the PLHIV community that if this situation is not resolved on time, imagine you are on life support.
Yeah.
And, there's a light out or, somebody's threatening to, unplug the various connections. How would you feel? So that is what is happening at the moment.
And as this is a very good context, especially just what you said about TB. So as a country, we're unable to procure our own TB medication. So we don't have it in the system. We rely solely on the Global Fund for the TB medication. The medications arrive at the port, and due to the charges and levies, we can't get this medication out to the people.
Yes, that's exactly the situation.
My goodness. And it's also talking about the HIV drugs. Is it the case then that persons who are living with HIV who need this medication, in the absence of the medication, give us some education that the viral count is more detectable? I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, meaning that the spread of HIV/AIDS, which would be mitigated by this medication, will start to get out of hand because the viral load, as we know it, will go up if persons don't take their medication. That's something that's also very serious.
very, very serious, because when persons who are on treatment now develop resistance against the virus, it means we have to change all the medications. And you know what that means, the implication of that. The persons living on HIV have indicated that the one they are taking now, the dolutegravir, they are very comfortable with that. It's very efficacious, has very less side effects. So they're very comfortable with that. If we have to change that, it's going to be a whole nightmare for persons living with HIV. So that is why we need to speak up and ensure that this situation is remedied presently, and we also put in place measures that will ensure that it will never occur again.
And we'll come to some of these suggestions. But Ernest, is it fair to say that we are then sitting on a ticking time bomb if a resolution is not received or reached as a matter of urgency? I just want us to paint the picture so that our listeners, the average Ghanaian, the everyday Ghanaian, really understands where we find ourselves as far as this is concerned.
Okay, so to start with, the Global Fund has indicated that until and unless we clear the commodities at the ports, they are no longer going to send any commodities to us.
Is this an official communique from the Global Fund?
Last month, a 12-member delegation of Global Fund was in country to follow up on this same issue. And after all their engagements, they were unable to get the commodities cleared. So during their debriefing meeting, in a very frustrating manner, they told us that this is what is going to happen. That if we don't get these commodities cleared, they're not going to, give us additional commodities. Maybe the only thing is that they've not yet put it in writing to us. But when during their debriefing meeting, all the CCM members comprising these three sectors that I mentioned, the government side, the development partners, the civil society, were all present. In fact, the meeting took place at the Ministry of Health, and that's where they indicated that this is likely going to be the situation. There's another issue, which is a co-financing letter that Ghana will need to sign and present to the Global Fund. What happens is that each time a country presents their funding request to the Global Fund, the Global Fund requires you to make a certain contribution. So in our case, they are requiring us to make 15% contribution of the funds they are giving to us. Now, this 15% is not money we have to pay to the Global Fund. Rather, this is money that we have to make available to be able to procure more of these commodities over a 3-year period. Now, you need to sign that letter so that legally the Global Fund can disburse funds to you. On humanitarian grants, they have started disbursing funds the first quarter. But then they have indicated that going forward, if this co-finance letter is not signed by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Finance, they will not be able to release more funds to us because legally we wouldn't have fulfilled all the requirements for funding.
I think reputationally as well, this story is going far and wide. It's not a good look on us. But what measures do you believe need to be implemented to prevent similar situations from occurring in the future so that we can ensure the timely access to these life-saving medications for people living with HIV and AIDS in Ghana, and also for all others who need these TB medication, mosquito-treated nets, and the like?
Yes. So to start with, the good thing is that we'd like to applaud the new Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Just before our press conference on Monday, in a very proactive manner, she came to our office with some other officials from the Customs Unit and then also from Ministry of Finance. And she indicated that as a new Commissioner General, this was the first time the issue was coming to her attention.
That's right.
She's going to ensure that these commodities are cleared. And coincidentally, she happens to be a former board member of the Global Fund, representing the private sector. So she very much understands the nuances of all of this. So she has promised to work with us so that we will find a lasting solution to this matter and it does not reoccur. So I believe it is on the strength of her intervention that the Ministry of Health released a statement yesterday indicating that by Friday, April 12th, they are going to clear these commodities.
Are you confident that on Friday these commodities will be cleared?
Yes, that's what they have indicated to us. For the Ministry of Health, the CSO coalition is very skeptical. And we are skeptical because of previous promises they made.
That's right.
Never fulfilled.
That's why I was asking whether or not you are confident, because when we listened to Elsie in that earlier clip, she says that promises had been made time without number, and yet we still see these items stuck at the port. Because in the ABC newspaper this morning, in fact, as you've rightly mentioned, Mrs. Siam is quoted here as saying that it's her priority to engage consistently and meaningfully with the stakeholders from all sectors. She says that the GRA will serve the needs of clients not only with integrity and fairness, but also with empathy. So much like the CSO, we are looking to see whether, as the saying goes, she can put her money where her mouth is and see to it that on Friday, these drugs are finally released to the appropriate quarters.
Well, behind the scenes, we have been giving some documentation which shows that the process is really ongoing. But then the coalition has still insisted that we go ahead with our planned action. So we have already sent a letter to the police notifying them of our intention to demonstrate. Yesterday, we honored their call and we had a discussion, but it was inconclusive. So we'll be going back today to ensure that we define the modalities for us to present our petition to the presidency and to Parliament. We are hoping that these commodities will be cleared on time so that action may not be necessary.
And so you say if the drugs are not released from the ports on Friday, you'll be hitting the streets? Is that what's going to happen?
Yes, that is what is going to happen. It's a coalition, and we have members across the country. And to be honest with you, people are quite incensed about this matter. It has brought us a lot of bad publicity as a country.
That's right.
Our partner organizations elsewhere are all asking, what is going on in Ghana? They just can't understand this situation. Because our neighboring countries, Togo, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, none of them is experiencing this situation. So why would Ghana of all countries be experiencing this? So our members are really incensed about this matter. And so they are insisting that we present a petition, but we are discussing with the police how we can do that. In the event that the communities are cleared, would we still need a demonstration, or what can another way of getting the petition across? So those are the discussions that we are having at the moment. But it's certain that the petition will go.
Okay. Irrespective of what happens, the petition
will... No, irrespective of what happens, because this situation, as we indicated, must not repeat itself. So we would like a firm commitment on Ghana. We have held a press conference. We have been speaking to the media, but we have not formally communicated to the powers that be. And that's why the petition will certainly go. So that at least it will be on record that this happened. We are not happy about it. We want measures to be put in place so that it will not happen again.
Well, time check, it is some 14 minutes to the top of the hour, 9 a.m. You're still live here on 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We're having a conversation with Ernest Amoabeng Otson. He's the lead convener and president of the Ghana HIV and AIDS Network. He's weighing in on the recent happenings concerning pharmaceutical products that have been stuck at the ports for months on end. And these pharmaceutical products include life-saving drugs for HIV, AIDS, malaria, and TB. Ernest has made us aware that, in fact, as far as TB is concerned, we don't actually have the monies, if you will, to procure the necessary TB treatment. We rely on the Global Fund for these medications for persons who are afflicted with TB and other diseases. But Ernest, how can listeners and the broader community, Ghanaians in general, support efforts to address this issue and ensure that individuals indeed receive the medication that they require? We've been tasked to be citizens and not spectators. Give us some suggestions.
Well, so far we are very happy with the media you have really supported this cause. You have carried it far and wide. And I believe that majority of Ghanaians are aware of this situation. And this awareness is very important because people will go into health facilities for treatment of malaria and not be getting the medications, but wouldn't understand why. Pregnant women will be expecting to get bed nets. They wouldn't get it. They wouldn't understand why. So this kind of advocacy on our part and with the support of the media has helped us to carry the message far and wide. So we are very grateful to you. We are asking all citizens to continue speaking up on this matter. Unfortunately, most of your programs all have phone-in sessions. So
that's right.
We encourage citizens to speak up. Let's all continue speaking up until the powers that be make sure that the right things are done.
Fantastic. And finally, Ernest, before I let you go, how are things at the Ghana HIV and AIDS network? Are you satisfied with the state of play as far as the HIV AIDS communication, treatment, care in Ghana is going?
Thank you very much for this question. Far from it. We are really not satisfied. By virtue of my position, as the president of Ghana HIV AIDS Network, I also serve on the Ghana AIDS Commission board. And I can tell you that things are not working out well for the Ghana AIDS Commission. In the past, you used to hear a lot of campaigns.
That's right.
But all of these things are not happening again because the Ghana AIDS Commission is cash-strapped. They don't have the resources to be able to carry out these campaigns. Meanwhile, infections are still ongoing. Last year, according to the reports that we had, there were 16,000 new infections. Okay, and that is very worrying.
That we know of, that are actually reported, people testing and are actually finding out, isn't it? Because a lot more go undetected because people simply don't test.
A lot more go undetected. So it is really, not looking good for the Ghana AIDS Commission. And we, as partners with the Commission, we are also not happy at all. The government needs to resource the Ghana AIDS Commission. There is a fund that was established in the year 2016. And since that time to date, we have been impressing upon government to operationalize that fund. And this fund can be operationalized if government commits to at least putting in a seed money so that other partners can then come on board and, make donations into the fund. There can be, some mechanisms for some levies, like part of the NHIL, Get Fund and others. Maybe some portions of those funds to go into that fund so it can support the work of the Ghana AIDS Commission.
That's right.
But none of that is happening at the moment, and we are not happy at all. What the government has done during the last World AIDS Day celebration was for government to launch a code, star 9898#, and asking Ghanaians to make contributions. But if government itself has failed to make substantial donation, how can Ghanaians learn from that and then also
That's right.
make their donation? So we are not happy with the state of affairs so far as HIV and AIDS is concerned. And this is particularly because as a country, we have committed to ending AIDS by 2030. This is 2024. We have just about 6 years to go.
That's right. Are we on track?
We are not on track at all. We are far from being on track because we don't have the resources. We have all the strategic plans, but we simply don't have the resources. And it's the same thing for tuberculosis, and it's the same thing for malaria. Malaria has launched a very, very, very important strategic plan that is aimed at eliminating malaria from Ghana. Other countries have been able to do it. Recently, Cape Verde succeeded in getting certified by the WHO as being malaria-free. Ghana, we have this very ambitious, vision. Meanwhile, the commodities that we need are still stuck at the port. Meanwhile, the resources that the NMEP needs is not coming. So we really need government to pay attention to these three diseases and then health in general.
Absolutely.
Health in general. We must meet the Abuja Declaration and at least commit more than about 50% of our budget, national budget, to health. Health concerns all of us.
That's
so
right.
we need government to pay urgent attention to health.
Absolutely, Ernest. Thank you so much for your time this morning. You've highlighted some very worrying concern, and I think we can schedule a time to get into the nitty-gritties of some of these issues. They're very important indeed, especially the fight against HIV/AIDS in Ghana. So thank you again for that much-needed education and for tasking all of us to be citizens and not spectators. We're grateful.
Thank you very much for the time.
Fantastic. And again, that was Ernest Amoabing Otson, lead convener and president of the Ghana HIV and AIDS Network, putting a lot more flesh on the bones on this particular issue. You too can, of course, have your say on all of the discussions this morning. Head over to our socials. We're on Facebook. We're on X, formerly Twitter. We're also on Instagram at 3FM 92.7. The hashtag we're using this morning, it is hashtag 3FM Sunrise. But DJ Abam is here. He'll soften the blow a little bit. When we come back, we'll talk about cashing out and other matters as well. Stay tuned.
I am representing for all of you.